Well, hello everyone. This is my first attempt here at streaming live. So what I want to do is I want to put together a video that kind of goes through and looks at Jesus and things that Jesus did that no other man has ever done before. And thinking probably that these are things that were reserved only for God. So what I wanted to do though is also put together my Bible study videos that I do to reach those conclusions. So I'm going to, hopefully I can do this correctly. I'm going to, there we go. I'm going to move myself out of the way a little bit. And I just wanted to start in Matthew and read through and just, kind of take notes as I go over here on the side. And as I read, what I'm looking for are, I guess we could say, things. Things isn't a very descriptive word, but that's fine. So we could say things Jesus, things Jesus has done that no other man before has done. All right, that's kind of the working title. I'll probably modify it as I think about it more, but that's fine. So I just want to start in Matthew, and I wanted to make my way go through it. And yeah, you're free to follow along, and hopefully you get something out of this study as well. As I go through it and do my research, I'll probably have a lot of side studies as well. So I'm just going to start reading in Matthew 1, and I'll make that screen a little bigger so it's easier to read. And here we go. Matthew 1, the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begat Isaac. Isaac begat Jacob. Jacob begat Judas and his brethren. I'm going to skip down a little bit because this is actually Joseph's genealogy. So if you look at verse 16, it says, "And Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ." So this is tracing its lineage all the way through Joseph, even though Joseph wasn't actually Jesus' father, which we'll get to in a minute. It says, "So all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations. David until the carrying away of Babylon are 14, and the carrying away of Babylon unto Christ are 14 generations." I'm reading out of the King James, by the way. I think I'll actually switch that because the ESV is the one I've been reading out of lately. It's just a little easier to read through. All right, so verse 18. "Now the birth of Jesus Christ took place in this way. When his mother Mary had been betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found to be with child from the Holy Spirit." So that's a good verse right there. So I'll copy that one and paste it over here. Oops, that's not what I want. Let's see. Remember how to use Blue Letter Bible. I think I can just click here. I have to make it full screen. Oops, I brought up the interlinear stuff. That's not what I want. All right, there you go, copy. All right, so no other person has ever been with child by the Holy Spirit. Jesus is the only person, only man, you can even say person, to have been conceived by the Holy Spirit directly. All right, I think the Luke account will give us more information about that. It says, well, anyway, let's just keep going through Matthew. All right, so yeah, it's a unique thing about Jesus, different than any other man that's ever lived. Verse 19, "And her husband Joseph, being a just man and unwilling to put her to shame, resolved to divorce her quietly. But as he considered these things, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not fear to take Mary as your wife, for that which is conceived from her is of the Holy Spirit." So I'll copy that as well. Verse 20, now that I remember how to do it. Copy the whole verse. And that kind of adds on to what it was saying there. Oops, I need to unclick 18, I guess. There we go. So I'll get rid of verse 18. And get rid of this too. Matthew 1, verse 20. All right. Yeah, so Joseph, so for which is conceived is hers from the Holy Spirit, she will bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. All right, that's something only Jesus has ever done. So we'll add that as well. Matthew verse. I'm still not doing this right. There you go. I think unclick that and then copy it. Okay. Jesus saved his people from their sins. All right, let's keep reading. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which means God with us. When Joseph woke from his sleep, he did as the angel of the Lord commanded him. He took his wife, but knew her not until she had given birth to a son, and called his name Jesus. All right, so the fact that a virgin conceived and bared a son, this was the, I'll actually copy this verse the right way here. Click, copy. All right, so we see here that Jesus was born to a virgin woman. All right, so yeah, that's something that's unique. I think what I'll do is kind of highlight these as I go, just to make them stand out a little bit. There we are. All right, and that's Matthew 1. Let's look at Matthew 2 here. And after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling, I just caught a bug. Get it. All right. I'll let it live. Where was I? Verse 3, when Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him, and assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. And they told him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for so it is written by the prophet. Sorry, I was going after the bug again. And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for you shall come from a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word that I too may come and worship him. After listening to the king, they went on their way, and behold, the star that they had seen when it rose went before them until it came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And they, going into the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then opening their treasures, they offered him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way. So I'm going to copy verse 11, pause here, and then also verse 2. And the reason for both of those. That didn't work. I have to click copy, that's why. So Jesus had a star up here and guide wise men to him after his birth. Okay. This is kind of a side note, so I'll probably do side notes along the way, but something to look into. Side note, were the wise men the same men who were trained by Daniel in Babylon? I don't know if there's any scriptural evidence for this, but I know Daniel was obviously into the signs and the times, and he might have been able to figure that out. So I'll leave that there. It's not really related to my study, but I do want to make a note of it in case I need something to look at later. And so also, Jesus is worshipped by grown men when he was a baby. All right, this is something that's interesting as well. He's going to be worshipped as a baby. I don't think anyone else worships babies in the Bible, in the Old Testament at all. All right, where do we leave off? All right, flight to Egypt, verse 13. Now when they had departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, Rise, take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child and destroy him. And he rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet, "Out of Egypt I called my son." Then Herod, when he saw that he'd been tricked by the wise men, became furious, and he sent and killed all the male children in Bethlehem and in all that region who were 2 years old or under, according to the time that he had ascertained from the wise men. Then was fulfilled what was spoken by the prophet Jeremiah. A voice was heard in Ramah, weeping and loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be comforted because they are no more. But when Herod died, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, "Rise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead." And he rose and took the child and his mother and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. And being warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee, and he went and lived in a city called Nazareth, so that what was spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled, that he would be called a Nazarene. All right, so this one, I wouldn't say there's nothing here, but there is a pretty cool type, and this is more of a side note. But if you remember back in Exodus, there was a Pharaoh who killed all the Israelite children because they're becoming too plentiful. So this is kind of the opposite. There is a Pharaoh, sorry, not a Pharaoh, Herod is the ruler over Israel at the time, and he's threatened by the fact that there's too many kings, I guess, or future kings, and he tries to kill them. So instead of Egypt being the dangerous place, Egypt is actually the safe place for Jesus. So side note, you could say the type, the story of Exodus. Exodus is reversed. Egypt is a place of safety for a baby, for an Israelite baby, instead of being a place of danger. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting twist on the story itself. So let's see, I could probably make these notes a little bigger too. Yeah, so kind of a cool little twist to the story here. So I think what I'll do is probably stop here for now. This will be something I'm hoping to do every day. Just at the end of the day, I got through 2 chapters, which isn't a lot, but it's a good start, I guess. So yeah, feel free to follow along. Hopefully this was something that was useful for you, and I'll post this in my Bible study section.